The reason why bedtime needs to be earlier, and this is I'm now covering babies, toddlers, and adults. If bedtime is solely reliant on the production of melatonin. Right now, melatonin is our sleepy hormone, and melatonin is produced at sunset. So as the sun starts to go down and the light is fading and the earth is moving from being warm to cool, that is the trigger for our brain to start releasing melatonin in preparation for the nighttime sleep. What are those CEOs, let's call them CEOs, doing for their employees when it comes to sleep?
I mean, most of them, zero, nothing. And also, I mean, kind of ex-CEO, but just left Medtronic, I think 9 months or so ago, the big multinational company down the road. Most companies will have a slide wellness programs here and there, but it doesn't penetrate and help employees. I mean, you're an employee of a company, we won't mention the name, but nobody cares about your sleep at work, to be honest. You know, they think you put yourself to sleep, but often they send emails late, they irritate you, they expect you to do odd hours, and the work environment is ruthless. Giving birth or, waking up with triplets, it's, kind of the end of the world. It's overwhelming. Did you get any welfare support? In other countries, government, when they hear about a story like that, they send, support 2-3 mates to kind of help you carry, because even your husband is not enough.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Clock.
How do you deal with stress? How do you handle that?
Coping mechanisms that I have is I go for a run.
Manage stress by obviously being moments like this. Directly saying I'm going off the clock.
Just even a night out.
I'm listening to my favorite music. I go into one of the studios at the gym and I dance.
Sip cocktails and rest and just do nothing.
I ground myself spiritually.
The right amount of stress is good.
Raylene, welcome to Off the Clock. Today, we really have a special guest here. After many episodes of talking to executives who can't sleep, we decided to call upon the sleep consultant, the sleep specialist, the sleep doctor, to be able to, help all our viewers to cope with sleep and be able to sleep well. This show, I'll be quick, this show is really not about me or her, it's about our guest. So before we start and, dive into questions, I just would like you to introduce yourself in the most dramatic way or the way you like.
Okay, sure. So I'm obviously Raylene. I'm a sleep consultant. I've been a sleep consultant for, I think, approximately 12 years now. My main focus for a very long time was on children because obviously I had my own children. Back in 2010, I conceived triplets and they were born in December of 2010. So they are actually turning 15 any day now. When my girls were 18 months old, apparently I could fall pregnant naturally, and the doctors told me I couldn't. So my son arrived in February of 2013. So I had 4 children under the age of 2. So I really needed to learn how to sleep well and how to get my children to sleep well as well. So that is how I came to be a sleep consultant. I did a lot of research because I was in corporate and I used to work at research and development. So research is really where I enjoy working. So I did a lot of research when it came to sleep. And slowly but surely, I built myself up. And I would say, I don't know how many people I've seen, but it's definitely over 2,000 families, both here in South Africa as well as overseas.
So thank you very much again for that long and detailed intro. Before we go into the sleep, which is a big industry, big business, we'd like to know a little bit more about yourself and ask you some questions which will help us know you better.
Okay.
You saying you've got 3 girls, triplets.
Yes.
And I'm sure it was your hands were full, right? Having to do and deal with that. Maybe you can share in a lot more detail how day one of mother of 3 kids at the same time, same night looked like.
Yes. Let me just say it was intense. To be completely honest, I don't recall a lot of at least the first year of my children's life because it was just pure chaos. Nighttime started around 5 p.m. And obviously having 3 children and needing to bath them, I was very often left alone. So my husband was obviously working, and so I had to learn how to bath 3 babies at once. And let me tell you, it's quite difficult. I used to put down mattress on the floor with the nappies and the cream and all of that stuff, and I'd have 2 in the bath, 1 on there, and then we'd just go switching around. So it was a real sausage factory there at nighttime. So it was intense. The other thing, of course, is that I had to make sure they slept well. So they went down in the evenings, obviously early. And what I didn't realize, what I was doing at the time, is I inadvertently sleep trained them. And the reason I say this is because there were 3 of them, and there was obviously 1 of me. So I never had the opportunity to be able to feed them to sleep or even rock them to sleep because I simply didn't have enough arms. So I used to put 1 baby down. That one was fine. Then I went to the one who was crying the most, and then I went to the next one. And by the time I got back to the first one, she was asleep. So what I was doing was I was putting them down awake, which is the most important thing when it comes to sleep training of children, babies. I was putting them down awake and allowing them the opportunity to actually settle themselves. And each and every time that I did that, they got better and better at it. So when they turned 13 weeks old, and they were also 7 weeks premature, that was the first time they actually started sleeping through, which is what catapulted me into the sleep consulting, because I thought if I can get triplets to sleep through at 13 weeks, I can get any baby to hopefully sleep through. So my life was chaos with 3 babies. My husband was great. He definitely helped a lot. But he often used to come home with all 4 of us crying at some stage of the evening. So it was intense. I've actually written a book about it, 2 books, in fact, about my experience with triplets and being a mom and then being a mom again and how I got through that time in my life. So, yeah.
So maybe let's step back a little bit because, on this show, we ask questions about how partners have met. How did you meet your husband?
I had a bursary, and I was studying at the University of Natal at the time. It's called KZN University now. And my husband was also studying there. So he is, in fact, a mechanical engineer.
You met him there. You didn't know him?
No, I didn't know him before. So we met when we were 19, got married when we were 26. Started trying to have children from then.
So let's just pull you back a little bit because you're very high level with details on how you met him before the children.
Yes.
Was this arranged or?
No, not at all. No, not at all.
That's the stuff that we.
No, it wasn't arranged. I'd seen him at university, and also we had the same bursary from the same company.
Okay.
So we would meet up because of the bursary, and then that's how we got
So
involved.
thanks to the bursary.
Yeah. Thanks to that. And then it took us 5 years to
Of
conceive.
dating and.
Yeah. It took us 5 years of dating, 5 years to conceive our children. So we've been together now just about 20 years.
And you said earlier, off record that you got your kids through the first 3 through IVF. Tell us a little bit more about that, because that's like 911, right? For a first child.
So, looking back, especially understanding the role of cortisol and stress in your life, I believe that I probably could have conceived naturally. I did, in fact.
Eventually. Yeah.
But I probably could have conceived naturally if I had just managed my stress levels a little bit better. And of course, IVF is the most stressful thing that you can do. And that didn't help. So I did need to see a fertility doctor. We were with him for 5 years, and we did 7 cycles of IVF.
7 attempts?
Sure.
Yes.
And wow, he was making a lot of money.
Yeah,
because I understand the industry very well and how the process works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's like you're betting on stuff and losing every time you bet.
It is. In fact, the second time I did get a positive pregnancy test, but I did lose that baby. So I did go through miscarriage as well, sadly. And that was on number 2. And then only on number 7 did we become successful. So it was.
How were you? Sorry,
Okay.
I mean, I can understand the apprehension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How were you feeling at that time? Like almost, I mean, I don't know. You know better. Almost like the last throw of the dice. If it doesn't work, I'm out of this.
Yes. It was extremely stressful. I can definitely say it was the most stressful period of my life. Was those 5 years that I was doing IVF, and unfortunately, there comes a time where you try and do the same things over and over again, and it's the definition of insanity. So, by number 7, my husband said he is done and he will not continue after number 7. So whether that helped us conceive or not, I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, number 7 was it for us. So that is why we actually ended up with triplets, because, of course, we wanted to transfer the maximum. And they all ended up into babies.
Wow. Big success.
And I mean, if we take just a step back, you mentioned that you feel as though you probably could have managed your stress better in order to conceive. Did you ever identify the stresses in that period of time? And then also within the IVF process now, because now that is also not an easy thing. How then did you manage your stress? And in that final round, how were you able to stay calm and collected, and just for this to knowing that it's the last throw of the dice?
Okay, so to actually tell you the complete truth, which some people don't really believe in, but I used a fertility astrologist to predict the date that I should do my IVF transfer.
Okay.
So
the first time?
No, the successful time.
Okay.
Yes. So that's successful, the 7th time. So in her telling me that this was kind of the most luckiest time, it kind of made me feel like, okay, I'm giving it the best shot that I can. And So other than that, I didn't manage my stress very well. And also I was living apart from my family. My family's from Durban, so I was obviously in Johannesburg. It was very difficult for me because I didn't have much support.
Yo, I didn't know. You said it's a fertility
astrologist.
Astrologist.
Yes, this is what my book is about. I'm sure I can send you the link to it. It's about how we conceived via fertility astrology, and it's called By the Moon and the Stars.
Okay. Okay, so now you've conceived and you've had your triplets. Was this the start of your journey of figuring out how to manage the sleep? I know we spoke about it off the record, but maybe tell us how you did it.
How I managed their sleep.
Yeah.
Yes. So once I knew that they were quite capable of putting themselves to sleep, right? That's what I was doing. I was just putting them down asleep, awake, in order for them to fall asleep independently. And then I only fed them once they told me they were hungry in the nighttime. So in other words, if they were crying for longer than 5 minutes, I would assume that they're hungry. And then
hunger serene.
And then I would feed them. So I didn't necessarily feed them when they didn't need to be fed. And I was always trying to put them down wide awake so that they could fall asleep and not rely on things like feeding to sleep or holding to sleep, etc. Because I was only one person and there were 3 of them. So that's one of the biggest things that I try and teach all my clients, whether it's a newborn mom or even a toddler mom, is try your best for your baby to fall asleep without you there, without doing anything for them, so that they know how to return to sleep in the middle of the night without you being there again.
So
otherwise they return to your room.
Yeah, if they can walk, they'll come open the door. So there's a little bit of overlaps in terms of the feeding. So just in terms of your experience, did having triplets influence the way in which you feed? So breastfeeding, formula feeding?
Yes, most definitely, because the thing with multiples is that you want to keep all your multiples on the same schedule, because mentally you can't have them all on a different schedule because you'll go crazy. So I had to feed 3 of them at once. Yeah. So I used to feed them on a breastfeeding pillow in the middle, and I used to prop the bottle up for them. So I used to stand in the middle, have the 3 around me, prop the bottle, and the one who was obviously struggling, I would help. I know it's not the safest thing, according to medical professionals, to do that with a bottle, but of course I was there all the time. I'm not going to let them choke or anything like that. So that is what I had to do. I had to feed them all together.
And then you spoke about feeding in terms of them having to be full, right?
Yes.
How do you know when you're, because the thing about babies is that they just cry. And as a first-time mom, you don't know what cry, like which cry means what.
Yes.
So then, like, how do you know that they actually fall? This is not a cry for food, but a cry for, to be held, etc.
This is a really great question. And the reason I say it is because moms, especially first-time moms, anytime their baby cries, they just immediately assume hunger. So what tends to start happening, whether it's breastfed babies or bottle-fed, it doesn't matter, is that moms or parents start to feed their babies very frequently all the time, because now they just assume this baby is hungry all the time. Now, the problem with feeding a baby more frequently than every 3 hours during the day is that they're snacking. So they're just taking in enough, and then an hour later they're hungry because they only just had this little bit here. And so then they're hungry again. So now you're feeding them a little bit more. And then so the day goes on, and then you end up feeding every hour. So the way in which we determine whether a baby is hungry is try and keep to the 3-hourly feeds, especially in the first 6 months. So you want to be feeding full feeds every 3 hours during the day, which is, if it's a breastfeed, it's about 15 minutes of a feed. And if it's a bottle feed, it's about 120 to about 150 milliliters of milk. And so if your baby is taking in those amounts through every 3 hours during the day and you put them down, you can believe that they're full because they've had all their feeds and they're consolidated feeds, not snacking feeds. Because the problem with snack feeds as well is it's not enough milk to sustain them throughout the nighttime.
Yeah.
So then they do start waking up for milk. But if you've fed them every 3 hours and they're having those full feeds, then when you put them down in the evening, you can rest assured that they are full enough because they've had their complete milk quota for the day. So then at nighttime, your baby's not going to all of a sudden get more hungry. Okay, especially if they've had their 5 feeds in the day every 3 hours. So you can at least stretch them 3 to 4 hourly at nighttime. If your baby is waking up every hour to feed at nighttime, they're not hungry. They're using the breast or bottle as the sleep association to get themselves to go back to sleep.
Oh.
Association.
Yeah.
So were you breastfeeding?
No.
Bottle feeding.
No. I did express for them, but at the end of the day,
wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough, and it was just so stressful. So I just stopped. My pediatrician, bless her, said that I can stop.
And then maybe just a follow-up question, because giving birth or waking up with triplets, it's kind of end of the world. It's overwhelming. Did you get any welfare support in other countries? Government, when they hear about a story like that, they send support, 2-3 mates to kind of help you carry, because even your husband is not enough.
No, we didn't get any support. Once or twice we got sponsored, maybe a couple of cans of formula and some nappies, but there was none. It was completely overwhelming. We had to get a new car. It was intense. Yes, it was very intense.
And just in terms of, are they all identical?
No, they're not.
3 of them are completely different?
They are completely different. A lot of people do confuse them, but if you get to know them, they are completely different. 2 of them are taller than me now. So.
Oh, they're not similar.
No, they're not similar. So they're completely different. I've got the social butterfly, the complete introvert, and then the very straightforward daughter who obviously takes over from me.
Yeah, right.
She can get herself in trouble.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very different.
And the third one?
No, that's the one.
Oh, okay.
The one. Yeah, the second one. The first one is the leader of the pack. She was born first as well.
Okay.
And then the second one is the middle child syndrome, if you would call it that, because she was born second. And she's very introvert. And then the third one is the one that was all blazing.
And how's the brother coping with them? Or how are they coping with him?
They love him, and I think he loves them as well. But they, one of the problems with having 3 older sisters is they spoke for him a lot of the time. So my son only really started speaking properly when he was about 3. And I was obviously very worried about this. So the doctor that they tested him and he was fine, completely fine. There was nothing wrong with him. But she said it's because the sisters are talking for him. So that was something interesting that obviously I had to encourage my son to talk because he was 3 and not talking much. And then eventually it just came and now he's fine.
It's okay. Actually reminds me of this famous joke that this elderly couple went to the doctor, and the wife said, look, got a problem. The doctor said, what problem? My husband speaks at night when he's sleeping. And of course the doctor checked him and finished and came back and said, look, just give him a chance to speak when he's awake.
Yeah.
Just reminded me that joke.
Look, my son is, he's very spoiled, and also his sisters take great care of him. And what I have noticed about him is he's not a boy's boy. He's not a rough and tumble boy because he's more feminine, because he's obviously got 4 females at home.
Influenced him a bit,
yeah.
Okay. So now your son comes into the picture and you have 3 girls who I assume, because you worked on the sleep very early on, it just translated. It's not something that you had to then work on again.
Yes.
Okay, so this is regardless of sleep regressions, because I know that babies also, and even toddlers also have, sleep regressions.
Yes.
Okay, so they just...
Okay, so the thing with the regression is that babies normally have a regression at 4 months, and that's the 4-month sleep regression is the biggest one. It's where the whole sleep changes. So babies under the age of 4 months, they don't sleep in sleep cycles. So like we adults, toddlers, everyone, we sleep in those cycles every single night. So we cycle into deep sleep, and then we cycle out to the lighter part of sleep, which is REM. So that is where we dream. Now, both parts of that sleep cycle are really important. The deeper part of sleep is where you secrete growth hormone. So some babies who are underweight, it's because they don't sleep well. Because the growth hormone is secreted right at the bottom of the sleep cycle in the deeper part of sleep. Now, when you come to the lightest part of sleep, which is dreaming, that is where your brain processes all the information that is happening to you. So as a 4-month-old baby, a lot is happening to you. You're coming out of the newborn phase. Your sleep cycles are establishing. You're learning that mommy is mommy and daddy is daddy, and you're reaching for things, maybe even rolling over. So there's a lot. Solids as well happen sometimes at 4 months. So there's a lot happening in the life of a 4-month-old. And that is what contributes to the regression, because when they get to that REM part of their sleep cycle, they are processing everything that's happening to them. So all of a sudden, they start to wake much more frequently throughout the nighttime. And that's where the regression comes from, is that now they're waking, needing mom or dad to come and do the same thing that got them to sleep in the beginning of the nighttime. So now all of a sudden, you think your 4-month-old has become starving, because they're waking up needing, you assume, hunger, but it's not. It's because if you fed them to sleep at bedtime, they need to be fed again in the night, not because they're hungry, but because they're using that feed as the association to fall asleep. And then all of a sudden, you start introducing all those feeds at 4 months, which is totally unnecessary. Like I said, if the feed is correct in the day, then they're not going to need to be fed at nighttime. So then what happens is that at 6 months, babies learn to sit. Another regression happens because they're learning this new skill. Then 8 months is the next one, which is crawling. Then the next one is walking, which is 12 months. And each and every time you go through this, where they're learning this new skill, the sleep does become a little bit worse than what it was before.
But wait, Raylene, I mean, you defining the milestones, so clockwork. But what I know, by the way, I'm qualified midwife. Some kids crawl much more later, sit much more later. So, but I guess the marker there is when they start crawling, then they regress. When they start standing up or sitting,
Walking,
whether it's at 9 months or 13 months, those are the markers.
Those are the markers. So, classic example. A baby doesn't know how to stand up, and then all of a sudden one day they start standing, and now they're standing in their cot, and now they're not sure, how do I get back down again? So mommy or daddy has to come back, put them down, and then 45 minutes later, which is one sleep cycle, you're back having to put them down. So that is related to learning how to stand. And so the best thing that you can do for a baby who's going through something like that is to practice in the day. So in the day, put a toy on a couch, for example, let them stand, look at the toy, and then teach them how to sit back down again. And so they get over the regression a little bit quicker. But yes, you're right. Some babies don't go through it at exactly 4, 6, 8, 12. It might be varying. But if your baby is going through a regression, consider what are they learning in the day.
And then so now you have people at different age groups. You're managing sleep the same, of course. This is what it sounds like from what I'm hearing. That even though you've introduced now a new baby, which is now your son, the management of the sleep is the same. But is there one that you're solving for more than the other, or or is everybody on the same program and we just need to get everybody to sleep now, all 4 kids?
Okay, well, the thing is, as a baby grows older, so you have an age-appropriate awake time. So that means that your baby should only be awake for a certain amount of time, and then they need to go back for a nap. And the reason why we have an age-appropriate awake time is to prevent cortisol level from elevating. And so the nap is regulating the cortisol level back down to normal, and then you have your next awake time window. So to answer your question, in the beginning, they weren't on the same schedule because now I had toddlers and my son was much younger. So he was on a different schedule to them in the beginning until he could obviously be awake for as long as they could. And then when that happened, then everyone had their nap together, which was great because we napped. And then everyone went to bed at the same time as well. So up until my children turned about, I would say 10, bedtime was 7 p.m.
Why?
Well, the reason why bedtime needs to be earlier, and this is not, I'm now covering babies, toddlers, and adults. If bedtime is solely reliant on the production of melatonin, right? Now, melatonin is our sleepy hormone, and melatonin is produced at sunset. So as the sun starts to go down and the light is fading and the earth is moving from being warm to cool, that is the trigger for our brain to start releasing melatonin in preparation for the nighttime sleep. So when you have a younger child, they should have an earlier bedtime, because what's happening is that, let's say a baby does, or a toddler doesn't fall asleep at 7 and they're awake until midnight, for example. What's actually happening in their body is that they are having a spike of cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone. So what happens is that we go into a stress response, which is fight or flight. And so what's going to happen with a toddler that has a spike in cortisol is that they're going to appear to be awake and alert, because that is what cortisol does for us.
Yeah.
So if you watch your children of any age, you will see that as the sun is going down, they are showing you that they're tired. They show you they're tired. They start to become whiny, moaning, fussing, don't want to eat, just want to get into the bath routine. And the reason for that is the melatonin that's being produced in their brains. Now, if you don't put your baby down or toddler to sleep at 7 when that melatonin is at its highest level, what happens is that they in turn have a spike of cortisol. And so your baby, your toddler that you think is very wide awake because they don't want to sleep, it's actually the complete opposite. They're actually overtired, which is causing the cortisol to be higher, which is causing them to fight wanting to sleep because they're in a stress response. And in order to bring the cortisol level down, we use the bath routine. So the bath routine is really important because, and this goes for adults too, when you bath or shower, your body temperature is obviously going to rise because the water is warm. And when you get out the bath or shower, your body temperature drops back down to the ambient level. So the rise and fall of body temperature is exactly what's happening when the sun sets. It's becoming cooler, and that's what tells our body sleep is coming. So to answer your question, the reason why a child as well as an adult, we'll cover that just now, should go to bed earlier is that you're taking the maximum advantage of the melatonin that's naturally helping them to fall asleep quicker and easier. And if you leave them to stay awake longer and longer, it's actually making it worse. It's making them more awake.
Yeah. No, I've seen that.
Yes.
I've seen us singing.
Yes.
What looks like a very happy, active baby is probably like a very tired baby.
It's yes. They look awake, alert, almost like that wired kind of look about them. So if you are struggling, especially a baby who is in that completely overtired, wired environment, then what I would suggest is bath them. That will help the cortisol level come down because of the temperature change. And then for very young babies, you can do skin-to-skin contact as well, which the mom helps regulate the baby's cortisol level back down again. So those are two things you can try if you have a very overstimulated baby. When we come to toddlers, toddlers are a whole nother ball game. And the sole purpose of a toddler, well, the sole thing that they feel is necessary is not to sleep. That's all they want. They don't want to sleep. They just want to see mom or dad and spend time. So what very often happens is at bedtime, some toddlers struggle with the boundaries, and it's because the parents are not setting the boundaries for the toddler. So what I mean by that is explain and tell your toddler what you want from them. So put up a board or a sign, cut out pictures from the internet, and right there, you need to lay in your bed, close your eyes, be quiet.
Make a wish.
And stay in bed until the morning. So those are the boundaries that the toddler works in. And if the parent is disciplined enough to make sure that those boundaries are met, your toddler will start to fall asleep earlier and earlier. So
stay asleep.
And stay asleep. So most importantly with the toddler, don't sit in the room with them. And this happens all the time because they want to talk, they want to chat to you. And the problem with the parents staying in the room is that the toddler keeps you hostage. They hold you there.
Sounds so bad.
They keep you hostage.
Oh, they do. And when you're not there, they say, Daddy's gone.
Yes.
And they go and find you.
So
Arrest you.
Yeah. And bring you back.
When you have this list of what is expected of them, what the sequence of events is at the end of the evening, they know. Then they know, okay, this is what's happening. Mom will sit or dad will sit with me and read a book. Then we might do a prayer or something like that. And then it's bedtime after that. So you have to be setting the boundaries for your toddler to make sure that they understand that bedtime is coming and mommy or daddy will not be held hostage in this room. Yes, they might be upset when you leave, but that's not to say you need to go back and sit. You can just reassure, leave again, reassure, leave again. And it might take an hour on the first night, but what you're inadvertently telling your toddler is, I'm not going to sit with you anymore, but I will come back if you need me. And slowly, maybe it's an hour, night 1, then night 2 is 40 minutes, then night 3 is, and it just comes down every single night until you can actually walk out and your toddler is still awake and you say goodnight and then you see them in the morning.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Explained it so well, but it sounds like labor intensive. So maybe let's cool it off with the babies and the toddlers.
Okay.
What about a middle-aged CEO who can't sleep because of external factors like, the factory is not producing enough product to sell, or he's not meeting his sales targets, or, I don't know, his wife is about to leave him.
Okay. That's a great question as well, because most adults don't sleep well and most adults are chronically overtired. And what's happening is exactly the same thing that's happening with your toddler that's gone into fight or flight because the cortisol level is now increased, is happening with an adult. So the best thing to think about when you're an adult is you need to maximize your melatonin at nighttime. And you need to obviously minimize the cortisol level. So some of the things that you can do in order to help your melatonin levels stay high in the evenings. And some people are not going to like this, but I would like people to try. Okay, just try. That's all I'm asking, because you will notice an immediate effect on your sleep. Number 1, shower or bath before bed. Many people that I work with, they don't want to shower at nighttime. They want to shower in the morning time. That's fine. Shower in the morning and the night, because the nighttime shower or bath is telling your body sleep is coming. So the whole temperature change is happening and you become sleepier after a bath at nighttime. So if you're showering in the morning, try to shower in the evenings and see if that helps. The biggest thing is light, especially when it comes to adults, because what we do, and many of us sit on our phones, sit on our laptops, we watch a movie, we watch TikTok or whatever as we're falling asleep at nighttime. And the problem with the devices is that it has blue light. And so that blue light that's coming off of your device is telling your brain it's wake-up time, because there's so much light that it cannot be nighttime. So, and it's very difficult. I realize this, especially in the world we live in where you have to work overtime late at night. So in the case where you have to work late and you have to use a device, use blue light blocking glasses. You can get them off Take-A-Lot. They're about 120 Rand. They're not expensive at all. And what you can do is you can put on your blue light blocking glasses when the sun sets. So already start to prepare your body to block out this light from sunset. So from 6:37, put on your glasses already then. Dim the lights in your house. You don't have to have all the lights on all the time. You can start to dim them as well. So the biggest thing with maximizing melatonin is light and temperature. So the light, it must be dark. Your room needs to be dark. So blackout blinds are really recommended. Sleeping with a light on is telling your brain that it's morning, you need to wake up. So darkness is better for quality of sleep. As dark as you can get it. And in terms of the temperature of the room, it should be on the cooler side. Many children as well as adults suffer from nightmares if the room is too hot. Because the heat.
Is that a heat thing?
It's a heat thing. So especially when the seasons are changing and the temperature is a bit wobbly, some people will go to bed wearing too much or too many layers, which triggers nightmares. So that's another thing. It's better for the room to be slightly on the cooler side. So to answer the question of what temperature, about 21 is the optimal sleep temperature.
So what has been the success? I mean, I told you right at the beginning that I've been in healthcare all the time. What about people who take supplements, drugs to increase your levels of
melatonin?
Melatonin.
Okay, so melatonin's supplementation is fine for the short term. So if you've had a very stressful week, taking melatonin for 2 or 3 nights just to get you back into a good sleep habit is fine. But melatonin is a hormone. So when you take synthetic melatonin, your body, your own natural hormones are going to be affected because you are taking a hormone. So often when you start taking a melatonin supplement, is that your own body starts to suppress the melatonin production. So when you go off the melatonin supplement, your own body is not producing any. So in order to get your body to start producing melatonin again without the supplement, you have to teach it that the circadian rhythm. So in other words, go outside when the sun is setting so that your brain can see the sun going down. Use the blue light blocking glasses. And in the morning, expose yourself to sun. Many people don't do that.
So I mean, personal experience. I've suffered a jet lag when I travel west, going to the US. I adjust better to that timing, that cycle of sleep easier.
Yes.
But when I come back to the east,
Yes.
I struggle a lot, and that's where you need a lot of help, either sleeping pills or melatonin to kind of get in going. Normally takes about a week to get back in the cycle.
Yes, and that's fine. You can take melatonin for a week, but if you take it longer than that, your own body's melatonin
manufacturing
will stop.
Its own. Yeah.
So when you want to stop, then what you have to do, you probably won't have a good night's rest for at least 1 to 2 nights after you've stopped the melatonin, because your body needs to produce it. I have a lot of clients who come to me whose children are on melatonin. And
just to clarify, melatonin is sleeping pills.
No.
Or melatonin is the
hormone that
like the supplement.
Sleep.
No. Yeah.
Yes, it's a supplement, but it's also has to be prescribed by a doctor.
And then sleeping pills
also has to be prescribed by a doctor, but it works. It's not melatonin, so it's not a hormone.
Ah, okay.
So the sleeping tablets are just a synthetic way to make you sleep.
Sleeping tablets guaranteed.
Yes. Melatonin is basically tricking your brain into this whole process that I've been talking about with the sun setting.
Yes.
So you're tricking your brain into producing melatonin synthetically.
Taking a shower before bed.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it's fine to take it for a week, but after that, you should stop. And a lot of children are on it for varying reasons. I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't tell any parent to not give their child melatonin. But giving melatonin to a baby, you are giving that baby a hormone. So you need to understand the implications of giving your baby a hormone. And many moms come to me with their children on melatonin because they didn't want to do sleep training. They wanted the easy way out. So sleep training, well, obviously, if you teach your baby how to sleep from an early age, you won't need any melatonin ever.
So sleep, I think, as a problem is a big problem from this show. That's what we hear. But the controversy has been there's no one size fit all. We've interviewed very successful business people who says, no maganjani, they sleep 4 hours, it's enough. It doesn't matter whether they're traveling to the US and they're going to Asia. Remember that guy? They don't have a problem. They sleep 4 hours and that's what they need.
Yes.
And it works for them. And they're 50 something and it's been working for them for the last 20 or so years. So what is the sweet spot in terms of, because the question that I ask or we ask religiously on this show is, everybody, how many hours of sleep do you do?
Yes.
And it's been ranging between, I'll say 5 to 8. For instance, the guy that we saw, he's like 7. The other guy is like religiously, come rain, no rain, 8 hours. And it's a CA. If a CA says that, they try to do it. I mean, I remember the CA in my office, lunchbox, he always pack a sandwich, banana, and orange, and it will start with the banana every time, and then go sequentially that way. So that's the level of that kind of discipline that I've seen. I mean, others may vary, but what is the...
Okay. The average amount of sleep that an adult should have is between 7 and 8 hours per night. There are people, those weird people, that can survive off less, but you are actually doing your body a disservice. And let me explain why. Between the hours of 10 p.m. and 12 a.m., your body goes through a detoxifying process through the glymphatic system. So that is where your brain is detoxing from all the things that need to be detoxed every single day. One of the things that's detoxed is the beta amyloid, which is the precursor to Alzheimer's. So between the hours of 10 and 12, if you're missing that part, your body is not detoxing to its full capacity. And when your body doesn't detox, then what happens is you start to put on weight because your whole hormones are out of whack. And also ghrelin, which is the hormone that stimulates hunger, is much higher in a person who hasn't slept well. So you start putting on weight. You get inflamed as well because your body cannot get rid of those toxins because you haven't slept between those hours where it should be at the deeper part of sleep when your body is repairing itself. You get inflamed. You also, obviously, you suffer from not being able to make decisions quick enough. Your cognitive function, your creativity also goes down. Your productivity goes down. So there's a whole cascade of things that happen that means that most adults should be in bed by 10 and about to sleep, to be able to get that full glymphatic system detox, as well as get your 8 hours of sleep and wake up in the morning relaxed and calm. Because when a parent especially wakes up and they have been up the whole night with children and not had any rest whatsoever, it does impact your mood and your energy levels. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom, it still means that you're not an optimal stay-at-home mom because all you want to do really is sleep and just try and catch up a little bit. So maybe there are some people who can only sleep 4 hours and they're fine and they function, but the majority of adults should sleep 8 hours and they should be in bed by 10 p.m. for this reason.
Wow.
10 p.m. If my brother was here, he was going to say 10 p.m. dead.
Yeah, I'm not a 10 p.m. dead. I'm a 12 p.m. dead. So self-confession, I don't go to sleep early, but I don't wake up early. So I stick to my hours that I do. I do 6 to 7, not more, but I don't do them like 9 to 5 a.m.
Okay.
So don't wake me up at 5 a.m. I will occasionally, if I have to wake up at 5 a.m., I'll wake up at 5 a.m. But I don't routinely like to wake up that time. But I like my sleep, and I don't struggle to sleep.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
But then does that matter? Like to your question, because you were talking about the 10 p.m. to the 12, right? So my dad is saying that he gets a 7-hour sleep. Will he still get all the benefits of a 7-hour sleep, even though it didn't start at 10 p.m.?
Well, how do you feel?
I feel good.
Okay.
I mean, if I go to and there were occasions where I've been traveling and jet lagged, and I just generally feel tired, and I'll go to bed at 10 or just after 10. By 3, 4, I'm done, and I don't like that. Because then I'll be awake for 2 hours, and then when I'm supposed to wake up, I'm
then you're tired
feeling
again.
sleepy again. So my routine works well for me for the things that I do, because I've been in an environment where my work is really intense during the day, and I come home, I meet my family or do whatever I need to do, or sometimes outside dinners, and then I need good 2 hours as well of from too much stuff and all that, to do my reading or check my stuff, and then switch off slowly. Yeah.
So if it works for you, that's fine. But if you're feeling really fatigued during the day, some people, when you like zone out a little bit during the day, it's apparently can be micro sleeps. So you're actually there, but your eyes are open, but your brain is kind of just switching off. So it's called micro sleeps. And if you're not zoning out, you're fine, you're operating fine, you don't get tired during the day, then it's working for you. But for someone who goes to bed at midnight and wakes up exhausted and can't function correctly during the day, or they're not firing on all cylinders during the daytime, especially when it comes to productivity.
Yeah.
Then I would suggest trying an earlier bedtime. And the problem is, if your bedtime is midnight, and then all of a sudden now I've told you go to bed at 10, and then you try to go to bed at 10, it's going to be hard to fall asleep at 10 versus 12. So what I normally say is just try half an hour earlier. And then go and see how that goes, and then go half an hour earlier. So go in increments until hopefully you get back to 10. So the more you sleep, the more you want to sleep.
So you build it up by half hours.
Yes, increments.
So what about you, Raylene? I mean, you're the sleep doctor. You're teaching everybody to sleep. How do you sleep?
How do I sleep?
Your quality of sleep.
Oh, I sleep very well. I'm not.
Because you know all the tricks.
I don't. Look, I am guilty of the screen. I know that. But what's really important for adults as well is, in order to bring that cortisol level down, which is our stress hormone, it's a good idea to create a sequence of events that you want to happen at the end of your evening. So something like reading a book, moving, so Tai Chi or yoga. It doesn't have to be long. 5 minutes is fine. Breathing exercises.
Yeah,
it's
spoke
so
about that.
underrated. Everyone's like, whatever, breathing, it's not going to help. But if you consciously try it, even for 5 minutes before you fall asleep, you will see that you fall asleep quicker, and your quality of sleep is much better because you have regulated your own nervous system. an app that I use. It's called Breathwork. There's no O in the work though. And it helps a lot because it's got a button and it tells you when to breathe in. So it's you like inhale and then it goes exhale and like your phone like buzzes in your hand. So it really helps with, because some people struggle with meditation because they can't switch off. So meditation doesn't always work. But if you're trying something that's breathing and then they're telling you to exhale, or even the box breathing, which is 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, holding for 4. Okay. And just do that a couple of times before you fall asleep, because what you're doing is you're telling your nervous system that you're safe. Okay. Because when we used to live in caves, way back when, we used to fall asleep when the sun set and we used to wake up when the sun rose. And the reason for those REM parts of our sleep cycle is that we used to wake up during that time, just briefly, check that our environment is safe, and then return to sleep again. So the REM part of our sleep is actually what kept us alive when we were way back then in the cave, because we had to check for danger all the time. So that is why if you tell your body you're safe at bedtime, you're okay.
You sleep better.
You sleep better because your environment shouldn't change every single time you wake up. It should still be the same and you can return to sleep restfully without worrying. Another thing that's helped me immensely is called EFT tapping. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
EFT?
EFT,
tapping.
like the
Payment
bank thing,
yeah.
but it's called EFT tapping.
Right.
So it's emotional frequency technology. Yeah. So what you do is you're tapping on meridian points. Okay. Again, just regulating your nervous system.
To calm down. Just tell yourself you're safe. And that helps immensely with sleep. Well, for me personally, it does. So, I mean, obviously sleep is a big problem and a big thing. We will need a lot of hours to be able to tackle this. Yes. But, I mean, judging from many types of drugs and medication that I see on the shelf when I travel, when I go to shops and pharmacies, sleep is a big problem. If you're in a sleep business, you're probably making a lot of money. Tsepi, I don't know if you have some last question or something before we give Raylene a chance to revenge and ask us questions.
Yeah, it's like you said, we can talk about this all day. So how is this different? And I think, we kind of tackled it prior, but this versus sleep training, not as intense as actual sleep training, because I know, we were talking about how the perception of sleep training is not really great.
Yes.
So how is this different?
So the thing with sleep training, the reason why sleep training has got such a bad reputation is because all parents think you're putting your baby down and you're just leaving them to cry for hours. That's not the point. The point that we're trying to do with sleep training a baby is teaching them you can actually do this by yourself. You don't need mommy or daddy to do it. So the earlier and earlier we start with putting your baby down awake and allowing them the chance to fall asleep independently means you're setting up your baby for good quality sleep going forward for the rest of their lives. So let's say you didn't do that. Let's say your baby is a year old and they're not sleeping and you're up every hour with that baby. Sleep training is going to be a little bit tough. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's not impossible. And the beautiful thing about babies and toddlers is that as soon as they realize what you're trying to do, they get it.
They do it.
So I work with many parents who are very, very anxious and very nervous about this whole sleep training process. It's not to say you can't help your child. You can reassure them. You can sit with them. You can talk. You can sing. You can hum. You can hold their hand. But you cannot put them to sleep. Okay? You can't hold them, rock them, or feed them. And as soon as you started doing that, yes, it might be intense the first day or two. But you can just keep on doing that each and every night. If your baby or toddler is crying for longer than, let's say, 30 minutes, help them to sleep. But just keep on trying every 30 minutes. Try, put them down awake, see how they go, and just keep on doing it. And so sleep training doesn't have to be cried out, your baby's crying for 3 hours. All you're doing is chipping away at getting them to understand what you want from them, and then them getting the confidence that they can do it themselves. So instead of having mommy hold me or rock me, have a sleep comforter or a doo-doo or a teddy bear or something that you offer them, that they gain comfort from that thing. So instead of relying on you, they've got something else that's still comforting, but it's not you. So start with like a sleep association that's like a doo-doo or a taglet from early on. And they will start to rely on that thing instead of mommy or daddy doing it for them. So sleep training can be tough. It's not to say you can't help your baby. You can. And it should never be for hours, and it should never be for weeks. If you're sleep training a baby or a toddler for longer than a week, something's wrong.
Okay.
1 week.
1 week.
1 week.
1 week.
I always tell my parents, in 1 week's time, you're going to see how your life is going to be completely different.
1 week.
1 week, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Any questions from you to us?
I do have a question. You say you've spoken to a lot of people, busy people, CEOs, executives, etc., who are assuming or have a number of employees that might report to them.
Yeah, most thousands.
What are those CEOs, let's call them CEOs, doing for their employees when it comes to sleep?
I mean, most of them, zero, nothing. And also, I mean, kind of ex-CEO, I just left Medtronic, I think 9 months or so ago, the big multinet company down the road. Most companies will have a slide wellness programs here and there, but it doesn't penetrate and help employees. I mean, you're an employee of a company, we won't mention the name, but nobody cares about your sleep at work, to be honest. You know, they think you put yourself to sleep, but often they send emails late, they irritate you, they expect you to do odd hours, and the work environment is ruthless. It's very brutal, doesn't help. I mean, I'm talking from that experience. You know, one of the doctors that we interviewed here was talking about the more younger working people tend to wear lack of sleep as a badge of honor. Like, you know, I flew to San Francisco, I took a shower, I went straight into the meeting, I work. You know, what about the sleep? And you've been flying coach or economy, you know. So, and this has been the kind of a thing that we're trying to keep balance to in terms of how does wellness works like. Tsepiso and I did a interview at Real Health. It's a show on DSTV 176 channel where we spoke about the balance that, you know, the best thing there is, you know, you, the employee, you know, managing those boundaries and saying, look, this is 5 o'clock is my time, I'm going home and I'm going to be with my family. Don't call me, don't irritate me. I mean, not in that, you know, raw form. And yeah, focus on that. I put it in I call it 888, you know, 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of hard work, and 8 hours of play, commute, spend with your family, friends, hobbies, and all that. So those 8 hours, you know, for me, I often talk about them. And I think it's, you know, if you're working for a job that requires 10 hours, 12 hours, it's not going to help you for too long.
One of the things that I've been to many of these wellness days for big corporates, and I have spoken as well about sleep to their employees. But you're right, there's a culture of, I don't need to sleep, I'm all good. And especially moms that are returning from maternity leave. Those moms also, just understand those moms are in a very fragile state because they're tired and they've had to leave their baby at home. So what I've always tried to suggest to corporates especially is, for example, include a consultation so that in the maternity benefits, or get a whole lot of moms that have just been on maternity leave and let me come and speak to them. I won't charge. I don't charge for this. So I will come and speak to anyone about sleep for their baby and also, of course, for the adults as well. So in terms of it has to come from the top. And very often, like, people don't set the boundary of time, especially over time, working over. So just understand that the employees that work for you, the screens, the devices are not good. And think about, especially those moms coming back from maternity leave. I get frantic calls from them all the time because they realize they're going back to work next week and they need to sleep.
Getting nervous.
Those moms need support and help. They do.
So going to make a lot of money with that.
That's just what I suggest. And even giving end of year gifts, instead of giving a travel mug and a key ring, give a sleep mask. Sleep mask, just a black sleep mask is going to help people sleep a lot better.
Wow. So, Raylene,
yes,
with all that, thank you very much for coming to Off the Clock. This definitely exceeded my expectation. A lot of lessons and advice on how to tackle sleep. Sleep is big business. So thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, really.
Thanks so much.